Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to Ambassador's Lounge. Today's discussion is a sequel to our previous discussions on the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, particularly the war between Iran and United States, and also we will take into account the crisis between, or the war between Israel and Lebanon, because they have serious consequences, serious implications, not only for the regional stability and peace, but beyond the region itself. Today, we will be taking into account as to the obstacles which are preventing both United States and Iran from reaching a durable peace agreement, because there have been a flurry of activities between the two countries, where Pakistan was communicating between the two adversaries. The drafts were being exchanged, and particularly I would say that President Trump was havering from one end to the other. Sometimes he was talking about establishment of peace, and he was indicating that they were close to reaching a deal with Iran, while in the next breath he was holding out a threat to bomb Iran again. So we will be taking into account also as to what is the trust deficit that is causing the two countries to reaching a durable settlement of the ongoing conflict. We will also discuss today the role of Mr. Netanyahu and his government as to whether he is a facilitator in the whole process of establishment of peace, or he is acting as a spoiler. And in the end, we will also discuss as to what options Pakistan has as a mediator between at least two adversaries, Iran and United States. Is Pakistan merely acting as a post office between the two countries, or Pakistan does have some leverage to really impress upon the two adversaries to reach a settlement? Ladies and gentlemen, to discuss these topics, I have two colleagues of mine with me, Ambassador Asif Durrani and Ambassador Imran Yawar. These two gentlemen have served in Iran in different capacities, and they have a deep insight of the dynamics which take place not only within the echelons of Iran, but also Iran's foreign policy and the way Iran has been acting during these times ever since the revolution has taken place. So welcome, gentlemen, to the Ambassador's Lounge. My question to Mr. Asif Durrani would be, Ambassador Durrani, as I said, that there seems to be a serious trust deficit between the two adversaries, Iran and United States, which is preventing perhaps both sides to reaching a common understanding on certain things. Would you please highlight as to what are the obstacles that are preventing the two countries from reaching a deal?
Thank you. As you have rightly pointed out, there's a mistrust. When there's mistrust, I think that caused the war also. And that's why there was so much death and destruction. And there were also miscalculations on the part of the United States and also Israel. America thought that this whole affair would be finished in 3-4 days, but it did not happen. They had to drag it for 39 days. And what happened, we all know what has happened. And Iran, well, it did receive a lot of, you can say, wrath, American wrath from the air, missiles, drones. But at the same time, Iran also proved its military prowess. It, in fact, gave unimaginable damage to Israel. It also damaged American interests in the Gulf states. It targeted 13 American bases in the Gulf states. So this is, rather than going into the history, you can see that it was a match in which Iran did not succumb. And that is the frustrating aspect for Mr. Trump. And now it is Iran which can play with the Americans, because President Trump is quite anxious to go for a deal and pack up. But it's not happening. And you have seen that Congress also now has directed
Yeah, absolutely.
President Trump
Yeah,
to behave,
yeah,
and they are not in favor of continuing the war. So therefore, it would be quite difficult for President Trump to.
But if I may say here that the Congress, although it has passed the resolution, but the resolution has to be finally signed by Mr. President himself. Do you think that he is going to curtail his own powers?
But then I think in that case, then Mr. Trump has to declare martial law also in the country, because these are the precedents in the American democratic system. So which bind them, because earlier, or he has to amend the rules, because it's 60 days rule that United States president can initiate a war, but he has to seek the approval of the Congress, and Congress has not approved it. So it's quite clear. But here, when you come to distrust, Iran now, I think, is dragging this, because they know that it is giving bad name to President Trump, and he's losing his popularity. Yeah. And then midterm elections are
just around the corner in November, of course. Yeah,
and I think he'll be losing. And this voting in Congress, I think, should also be an eye opener that how moods are changing in the United States, and more importantly,
it's a precursor to what is going to happen in November.
Yes, and more importantly, my last words, Israel, in fact, is gaining hatred all over the world, and especially in the United States now, it has reached to 68%, unprecedented in the American history. So this is something, it should be an eye-opener for them, that how in future, and it is just one person, Netanyahu, who wants to save his skin, who wants to, prolong the war. Yeah.
Ambassador Yawar, Iran has been accusing United States of being the spoiler, primarily because whatever the agreements reached in the past, they were broken squarely by United States, not by Iran itself, and therefore Iranian leadership thinks that United States, or Trump particularly, cannot be trusted, even about if a deal is actually reached here. Now, United States is also wary of the nuclear thing, in Iran, because they think that the possession of enriched uranium of 400 kilograms or so, which is enriched up to 60%, is really alarming for not only for United States but particularly its ally Israel, because they think that whatever nuclear program Iran is pursuing is primarily directed towards Israel. And Mr. Netanyahu is also wary of the fact that perhaps a bad deal is going to take place between the two sides. He has been kept out of the loop so far, as far as negotiations are concerned. What is your take on that?
Okay, as you have pended 2-3 issues on this. First of all, the trust deficit. You see, this trust deficit which you see between Iran and US, it is the main reason why an agreement has not been reached. And this trust deficit between the two countries, it's not new. It started in 1953 when the US colluded with Britain, and they removed the elected government. Yep. And then came the Iran-Iraq war, in which Iraq used chemical weapons to kill Iranians, and those chemical weapons were provided by the Americans. Then in 1988, I think Asif would also remember, there was a targeting of Iranian passenger plane, in which about 290 people were killed. And the then Vice President, the elder Bush, he said he will not apologize to the Iranians for this. And in fact, the gentleman who shot down the plane was given Medal of Merit. And then fast forward, what does President Trump say? He says he's going to obliterate the Iranian civilization. What does the Secretary of War Crime, Pete Hegseth, say?
Yes,
he says that we do not care about the archaeological sites of Iran. So we will eliminate them. And then you see President Trump twice attacking Iran during the negotiating process. So how could there be trust? Yeah. And that's why Iran says that first open the Strait of Hormuz, end the war, And when they say end the war, when they call ceasefire, they say it has to be broad spectrum. It should include Lebanon. So there is a serious trust deficit. And US, what Americans want, they want to add everything into it. They want a whole spectrum. They want a whole peace deal, which is not possible. How can Iran trust that if it takes actions, Americans will abide by their words, or Mr. Trump will abide by their words? You see, Mr. Trump has a problem. I mean, he has a problem of accepting reality. He doesn't know what things are happening. He says one thing.
People say he's delusional.
He is delusional. So unless and until there is development of trust deficit or removal of trust deficit, no deal is going to be possible. As far as you talked about Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, which Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu has also issues. You see, first of all, elections are coming.
Absolutely.
In October.
Yes.
But Israeli Knesset has moved for early elections, and the first reading has been done. So if that happens, the elections will be held August or September. And Mr. Netanyahu had made promises to his people, to his right-wing colleagues, that number one, he will eliminate Hamas. He has failed to eliminate Hamas. They are still attacking Gaza. Then he said, we'll eliminate Hezbollah. They have failed to eliminate Hezbollah. Hezbollah says, we are going to continue attacking you till you withdraw your forces, not remain south of Litani only, River Litani. They say you go back to your borders. So they have failed to do that. They said they will eliminate the Iranian regime. They have failed to do that. The regime is there. In fact, the present regime, it's not only more resilient, it's more hardline as compared to Mr. Khamenei and the people because they had seen this, the politics, they had a deeper understanding of international affairs as compared to the present dispensation. So Mr. Netanyahu is already in a deep crisis. A political career is at stake. His own survival is at stake.
Absolutely.
Because he has cases of fraud and
he will be prosecuted, of course.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, this brings us to this question, Ambassador Asif Durrani, is that previous agreements have not really held. They have been violated, by one party, and there is a serious deficit of trust, as we have talked about. Now, as these two countries are talking about signing a preliminary MOU, which will first, settle some really outstanding problems, if I may say, like opening of Strait of Hormuz, allowing Iran to export its oil, etc. But the bigger questions have to be deferred, for future negotiations. Now, as we know that previous agreements could not really hold, they were violated. What guarantees do we have, or who gives the guarantee that this time, if an agreement is signed between the two adversaries, it will hold? And for how long?
There is no guarantee.
So we
no
are in
one can give any guarantees because it's a real politic. And you recall that last year when Israel attacked Iran, followed by America, but just 2 days before, there were vibes that they were nearing an agreement.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Same happened on 28th February when Israel attacked and followed by the United States. But again, a day earlier, we were hopeful that an agreement would be reached.
Yeah.
Now there is a talk of 60 days of they have extended this ceasefire. And during this period, they think that they will go for a preliminary MOU. Not exactly with this nomenclature, but this is what the news is doing the rounds. But there's no guarantee. What the United States, in fact, is rushing through is that Iran should immediately open the Strait of Hormuz. Now, just see how helpless the United States is as far as opening of Strait of Hormuz is concerned. And this shows Iran's geographical advantage. For the first time, it has used Strait of Hormuz as a weapon.
As a weapon, yes.
It did not use it during Iran-Iraq war.
Absolutely.
8 years that war continued, but they didn't use it. And why should Iran open the Strait of Hormuz if the sanctions continue? If its assets remain frozen? What is in it for Iran? And on nuclear issue, Iran is comfortable because Iran has already said, okay, we are not into nuclear weapon making, politics. They don't want. They will not. And what extra Trump think he can extract from Iran, what has already been agreed to during the JCPOA of 3.67% enrichment. What else President Trump wants? So here I think it is Trump's hegemonic streak, which in fact is he wants to give the impression as if Iran has given in, Iran has succumbed. And I think these ego problems are very much there. And Iranians are also playing with the galleys, yes.
Would you like to add something, Iran?
I agree with Asif, but Iran has laid its conditions, as we discussed. That's ceasefire, comprehensive ceasefire, including Lebanon. That
unfreezing of
its assets, removal of sanctions, opening of. You see, I think my impression is that Iran would be prepared to make substantial concessions as far as its nuclear program is concerned. So really substantial concessions. If they're not, I would suggest that they should make substantial concessions, because now the tool which they have in their hand is the Strait of Hormuz. Now, as far as nuclear sanctions are concerned, or nuclear file is concerned, the US does not only want that Iran should decommission its nuclear installations or nuclear stations, and they also want Iran to certify that it will not purchase any nuclear device from any country. Obviously, they're referring to North Korea. So I think Iran would be prepared to make substantial concessions as far as the nuclear file is concerned, because it has an important tool in its hand, and that is the Strait of Hormuz. They say Iran should not charge toll. They say, okay, we are not going to charge toll, but we will charge what they call as service charges.
Yes,
so we can see that Iran will stick, and I think Iran will stick to its condition of Strait of Hormuz, using Strait of Hormuz for future. And even if Iran agrees to what they say, Strait of Hormuz would always have the risk of Iranian control and Iranian action on that.
So is there any chance of any agreement in near future?
You see, as Asif also said, Iran is prolonging. Iran is adding other aspects to it. Like now they have said, unless until there is a complete peace in Lebanon, we will not agree to a ceasefire. So Iran is using weight game because American president is under a lot of pressure, as I said, the approval rating for the war is completely going down. Absolutely. And then you see the Congress action of questioning or reining in Trump's war powers. So these shows that Mr. Trump is under tremendous pressure. And then again, the impact of it on the global economy and on the US economy. So Mr. Trump is under real pressure. He would want an early, or let's say he is desperate to have an early solution to the issue. But then on the other side, we must see that Iran has, as reports say, lost almost $7 billion as a result of this blockade. So Iran is equally under pressure, because we know Iran's economy is in a mess, and the people are not very happy there. So, from both the sides, I think they want...
The pressure is too high, yes, of course. Yeah. Well, gentlemen, it seems that Mr. Trump is in a very tight corner. He's caught between the cleft stick, if I may say so, because on the one hand, he is a victim of his own original sin, because when he criticized Mr. Barack Obama of signing a very flawed deal with Iran, which allowed Iran to have some leeway, of enriching, allowing Iran to some kind of enrichment of uranium. Now he's talking about that if he's critical of that, and he wants a deal which is better than which was signed by Mr. Barack Obama. Do you think that asking Iran not to have any enrichment whatsoever and handing over the enriched uranium, which still exists within the territory of Iran, is a non-starter because it will lead the two parties nowhere? So how are we going to resolve this imbroglio?
Well, I think Trump cannot demand beyond NPT provisions. And under Article 4, Iran has the right to have access to nuclear technology for peaceful purposes. So, Trump is expecting Iran not to teach nuclear physics in their universities and over their scientists to Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, this is,
It sounds ridiculous, yes, of course.
It's ridiculous. So I think when Iran submitted itself and agreed to 3.67%, which is the lowest minimum when you talk from the access to nuclear technology for peaceful purposes. But what worries Americans is the process. They say the process is the same, whether it's 3.67% or 90%, because Iran had already reached the 60%.
It requires centrifuges, it requires
the
labs, etc. Yes, absolutely.
Only you have to increase its percentage through that process, which is very much is the same. So here, I think that's the worry. But here you have to draw a line somewhere, and Americans will also have to agree to that. But I think Iran is comfortable as far as nuclear file is concerned. But it would also want to have quid pro quo, and that would be on removal of sanctions, and secondly, unfreezing of its assets. That's the one, and that would also be linked with opening of the Strait of Hormuz.
Both the sides are holding their positions quite tenaciously. Who do you think will blink first?
Yes, it's not a question of who will blink first. See, Iran nuclear file is very important for Mr. Trump. He has reiterated that. It's primarily because that's what Mr. Netanyahu wants. Mr. Netanyahu also wants that their missile technology should also be curtailed.
Yes, yeah.
And not only Mr. Netanyahu, even the regional countries want that missile technology of Jack. Now, as far as what Asif said about NPT, yes, it is there, but this is realpolitik. I don't think NPT or whatever it is, it matters to Mr. Trump. He only wants this thing because he believes that he has upper hand. He wants Iran not to talk, not to have nuclear enrichment at all, even if it is 3.67%. And Iran knows that it will not have nuclear weapons. Iran knows it cannot develop nuclear weapons. Iran knew it in the past also. You see, Iran had one moment when it could have developed its nuclear weapons, and that was when Ukraine war had started and the world's attention was there. That was the moment when Iran could have gone forward and developed its nuclear weapons. If they did not, this shows that they had their decision. The decision had been made in principle not to go for a nuclear device. 60% was a way to develop a leverage for the future negotiations. So one thing is clear: Iran does not, or it will not go for a nuclear weapon. They know they have this, and they will play on their control or the leverage or on the Strait of Hormuz. So who blinks first? As we said, both of the countries, the leadership, they both have pressures. Mr. Netanyahu, as you said, wants something which is better than Obama deal. He has been critical of Obama deal. He thinks I am going to give a deal which is something extraordinary, something which will earn him a legacy, and that deal would involve Iran completely abandoning its nuclear program. Some concessions on Iran's missile program, which I don't think Iran will make. It will involve Strait of Hormuz, completely reopening Strait of Hormuz without any conditions on it. I don't think Iran will agree to that. They will want to have some control over it. It would have, they would want Iran to remove their influence and stop supporting Hezbollah, stop supporting Hamas. I don't think Iran is going to do that.
Right. Durrani, on the one hand, we see statements coming out that there is a lack of appetite now for further escalation, and both Iran and United States want to climb down the escalatory ladder. But at the same time, Mr. Trump, he held out a very serious threat today. He said that whether Iran agrees to handing over its enriched uranium to United States or not, we are not going to listen to them. We are going to act on our own, and we will get the uranium. So, is this just a posturing, military posturing, or a messaging, strategic messaging, or do you really see that a real restart of conflagration can really take place?
Well, conflagration can do that, but America cannot physically take out those nuclear material from Iran. Had this been the case, they would have sent their soldiers long ago to the Iranian territory. So they are not permitted. One thing I want to add here that I think Iran has successfully added, and it is also for future posturing, that its allies or proxies, whatever you may want to talk, about Hezbollah, it has taken a stance in Lebanon, and it threatened Israel to vacate northern Israel, or otherwise they have to stop the attacks. And that led President Trump to call Netanyahu, and they had exchange of
and use expletives as well.
Expletives, yes, and which later on he
which he acknowledged as well.
Yeah, he acknowledged. So here, I think Iran diplomatically it gained, and overall, if you see in the regional context, then again Iran has established its prowess that. It is a power to be reckoned with, and these Gulf states cannot take Iran lightly. And then Gulf states are also now running second thoughts about giving these bases to the United States, because instead of saving them, those have become a liability, those bases. And you all have seen, we have seen that how it has in fact harmed them. And then when you go a step ahead, then since they cannot wish away Iran, so there has to be a future security mechanism whereby these Gulf states and Iran will have to come together and talk.
Imran, do you think that Iran or Israel or both are overplaying their hand?
You see, as far as Israel is concerned, it has when you talk about Israel, first of all, when you talk about Israel, please talk about Mr. Netanyahu.
Okay.
Because it is Mr. Netanyahu who is driving things. He, along with his coterie of ultra right-wing politicians. And as you know that Mr. Netanyahu's plan, as a result of Mr. Netanyahu's plan, US and Israel are going to refashion their military to military engagement. They have now what is called as US-Israel Defense Initiative. Which would mean that the militaries of the two countries will integrate, and this would mean that in future, I mean, now after every second year or first, the American president and the Congress has to approve the defense deal with Israel. Now, as a result of this thing, they will not be doing that, and this is Mr. Netanyahu's plan, and he agrees. He says it is my plan. So Mr. Netanyahu is under immense pressure, as we discussed, that his political future is at stake, his own future is at stake. So he would want, and he wants the war to continue. He believes, and I think rightly so, that if they attack, if the war starts again, they should attack Iran's energy sector, they should attack Iran's electricity departments and road
civilian infrastructure, of
infrastructure.
Course, yes.
That would really weaken the regime and bring it near to the precipice. But the thing is, Mr. Trump is wary of it. Mr. Trump is already under a lot of pressure because of internal, and Israel's popularity within US has gone down quite a lot. So Mr. Netanyahu is under pressure. He wants the war to start again, and he will use any pretext. And I think what he is doing in Lebanon, he's constantly bombing Lebanon despite the ceasefire. Yesterday also there was quite a lot of bombing on ceasefire, killing people. They have killed almost 3,000, more than 3,500 Lebanese since the war started. So nothing is stopping him despite the ceasefire. So it's not the question of who is going to blink first. I think Mr. Netanyahu is under lots of pressure, and he is going to keep pressurizing Mr. Trump, and Mr. Trump wants to keep him in good humor.
Well, you two gentlemen very befittingly, you elaborated on the obstacles that are hindering the conclusion of a settlement between the two countries. Now very briefly, I want your answers. Are we moving in circles, or this situation is going to lead us to some direction?
Well, hopefully it will, because as Imran has said that Trump is getting worked up and he is quite anxious to have a way out. And it is easy for him if he swallows his ego and he...
Will he?
Well, he is a maverick.
Has he ever?
You can always expect, surprises from him.
Okay.
And so I think it's a possibility, but Iran will also have to be counseled, because ultimately, when the day after scenario would emerge, it would be quite detrimental to Iran's interests. And the economic pressure would be so much, and the kind of inflation and unemployment which Iran is going to face would be tremendous. So these are the factors which Iran should not ignore. And more importantly, if this stalemate continues, so it means that a continuation of sanctions against Iran. So some way out, if it allows a resumption of Iran's export of energy, and if it allows unfreezing of its assets, even if gradually, I think so that should be a win-win for Iran. And on nuclear issue, as we have already discussed, they will have, they are comfortable.
So do you think that Iran is going to step back and show some flexibility about its maximalist
Rather
demands?
than step back, they will have to, in fact, move forward by accepting these, realities, as well as accepting the realities for their own people and for the good of their own people.
Wonderful.
Yeah, he struck the nail on the head, mate.
Okay.
Iran has to understand that it does not have much options.
Okay.
It is acting resilient. When I say Iran is acting resilient, or when we say Iran is acting resilient, it is basically the regime which is acting resilient. And the people are behind the flag, yes, for the moment. What happens after, we don't know. Because reality will start dawning upon the people then. So that's why what Iran needs at the moment is money. And that's why I believe that they would be prepared to compromise a lot as far as the nuclear program is concerned. They just want the money to come in so that they can improve the economic lot of the people. So let's see. No one can say exactly what is going to happen, what Trump is thinking or what Iranian leadership is thinking. No one knows. But as he said, yes,
the situation
Iran
will dictate itself.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, please.
Within the region, these countries should come together. And they should also impress upon the United States and Iran that they have to come.
Yes.
While Pakistan has been playing the role of the mediator, but Pakistan also kept major actors in the region in the loop.
Yes, yeah.
So I think there's a need to reactivate the system.
Well, this brings us to
absolutely, he's
Pakistan.
right.
Yeah,
the regional countries have to step in, and they have to keep on playing a role. Nothing should deter them from playing a positive role to bring the two sides together. And Pakistan has played a lot. Whether we are, we are have played a major role in the ceasefire, and we are pressing upon both the sides to continue this ceasefire. But as far as their demands are concerned, see, both the countries will have to keep their own interests. Both the countries have to keep in mind how they are going to satisfy their lobbies, how they are going to satisfy the people back home in both the countries. So they have to keep in view of that. Within this scenario, is peace possible? We'll have to see.
Okay, this brings us to Pakistan's mediation role in the crisis. We rightly took the credit that we did play an effective role in bringing the two sides to the negotiations table. But there is a sizable section of detractors which says that Pakistan does not have really much of leverage to really impress upon the two adversaries to sit down, and hammer out some kind of negotiated settlement to this complex situation right now. And also, you mentioned that regional players also have to play a role. But do you think that Pakistan, including other regional players, do have clout enough to impress upon the two adversaries to sit down, on the table and find some solution to this?
I think whatever ceasefire or whatever peace or kind of a no war, no peace situation which you are witnessing has a lot to do with Pakistan's mediatory role. Otherwise, things would have been much worse. And here, why? Because Pakistan enjoyed the trust of both the parties, the United States as well as Iran. Because for Iran, it was quite important that it has the trust of the countries, whether in the region. For instance, India was quite close to Iran.
Yeah.
But what happened? Because just 2 days before Netanyahu's attack on Iran, Mr. Modi was in
Tel Aviv.
Israel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they raised the slogan of motherland and fatherland. Israel was fatherland and India was motherland. Wow. And subsequently, Indian actions and then the commentary which you are reading and then their diatribe against Pakistan up to the level of jealousy by Mr. Jaishankar telling Pakistan as a broker in
a very derogatory fashion.
Yes.
Of course.
So this shows the level of maturity or immaturity, whatever. If it is Indian, they'll say it's maturity, so we can call it immaturity. But I think India isolated itself as far as region approach is concerned. So that is a lesson, should be taught in the foreign service academies. And then also a lesson to be a mediator that when you enjoy the trust of the countries, so that is Pakistan, how it enjoyed.
Do you agree, Imran, that India locked itself in the room?
India definitely.
And then now they are,
Mr. Modi went there. He knew what was going to happen. That's what their analysts also say, that he knew what was going to happen.
It was ill-timed visit, of course.
And he came back, and then he never issued any statement on the death of Mr. Khamenei. I mean, that was not even diplomacy. That was not even foreign policy. And when after the death of Khamenei, only their foreign secretary went to offer condolences, write the condolence book, and that also a week later. So India terribly played its cards as far as this issue was concerned, and this is the issue. This aspect has been highlighted not only by the international, it has been highlighted by their own people, like Mr. Rahul Gandhi. They see this thing and they believe that it's Mr. Modi's bad foreign policy, bad decisions.
Well, he received a lot of flack, of course.
Yes. And then as far as leverage is concerned, you talked about leverage. Of course, we do have, Pakistan does have the confidence of both the sides.
All
we do have the confidence of the
course,
regional countries as well. And this is reflected in the fact that the regional countries now
we are in a unique position right
into a framework where jointly defense should be. Remember, Israel always needs an enemy to survive. And now with Iran threat lowered, We are there, Turkey is there, Egypt is there. So we are talking about regional architecture in which the regional countries could come together. But now, as far as leverage, whether we have leverage on Iran, whether we have leverage on US, I don't think we have much leverage. It is their own interests which matter first.
Ultimately,
but we
which
did
will
play an
decide,
important
yeah.
role in bringing about the ceasefire.
Okay, wonderful. Any comments?
Well, you said it, and you set the tone, and then you have to give us the concluding.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for a very interesting discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard them both, and we talked a lot about different dynamics that are taking place right now within the Middle East region. Situation as it stands today is quite murky. It's quite very complex. A very tenuous ceasefire is still holding, although skirmishes are taking place within the Middle Eastern region. Iran has been firing rockets and drones to Oman and Kuwait as well, and the United States has been attacking south of Iran as well. So we are in a very complex situation, and it seems that it is going to continue for some time. There is nobody, no analyst in the world right now is in a position to really presage at this point as to where the situation would lead, in the foreseeable future. But we hope that the two adversaries will be able to come down to some kind of understanding where this conflagration, is ended for good, and the region, and the whole world takes a sigh of relief, because the whole world is suffering because of the continuing, the rise in oil prices, the lack of availability of fertilizers, for growers, particularly in South Asia and Southeast Asian regions. So it's a very, very complex situation. We will continue to analyze the situation as it unfolds. Please stay with us, and do not forget to enrich us with your comments and subscribe our channel. Thank you very much. Goodbye.